This actress who lost her boyfriend 8 years ago just showed up with a new husband. And the story behind it is more complicated than anyone knows. Behind that beautiful smile and that quiet grace, Lauren London has been carrying a weight that most people could never understand. A weight that started on one bloody Sunday afternoon in March 2019 and never really left. And now, 8 years later, her name is trending again. The blogs are going crazy, the comments are on fire, and everybody is asking the same question: did Lauren London really move on? The shocking truth behind what is really going on with Lauren London is deeper, more emotional, and more complicated than any headline is giving it credit for. And today we are about to reveal it all. Yo, what's good, fam? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving deep into one of the most emotional love stories hip-hop has ever witnessed. We are talking about Nipsey Hustle and Lauren London and what has happened in the 8 years since the world lost one of its greatest. If you have not been keeping up, buckle in, because the story is about loyalty, grief, legacy, and what it really means to love somebody so deeply that even death cannot shake it. Let's get into it. Now, before we get into this wild ride, let me keep it 100 with y'all. There are a lot of rumors floating around right now about Lauren London. Headlines talking about new husbands, new relationships, Lauren moving on. And look, the internet loves to run with a story, especially when it involves someone as beloved as Lauren London. But yo, we about to separate the facts from the fiction, the real from the fake. Because here's the thing about Lauren London. She is not just some celebrity girlfriend. She is not just a pretty face who happened to date a famous rapper. Lauren London is a woman who loved a man so completely, so purely, that even after he was taken from her in the most violent and devastating way possible, she chose to honor him over everything else, over her career, over her social life, over her own heart. March 31st, 2019. That is the date that changed everything. Not just for Lauren London, not just for the hip-hop community, but for an entire generation of people who believed in what Nipsey Hustle represented. That afternoon, this 33-year-old man, this father, this entrepreneur, this community builder, was standing outside his own store, the place he built from nothing, the place that was supposed to represent everything he stood for: growth, ownership, loyalty to your community, and in a matter of seconds, it was all gone. Now hold up before y'all start thinking this is just another rapper gets shot story. Because Nipsey Hustle was not just another rapper, not even close. But here's where it gets real. To understand what Lauren London has been going through for the past 8 years, you first need to understand exactly who she lost and what that loss meant to the world. So check it. Ermias Joseph Asghedom, that was his real name. Born and raised in the Crenshaw district of South Los Angeles, one of the most gang-heavy, poverty-stricken neighborhoods in all of California. And in the hood, we know what that means. Growing up in Crenshaw in the late 80s and 90s was not a walk in the park. It was survival every single day. But Nipsey was different. Even from a young age, people around him could see it. He was not just trying to survive, he was trying to build. He took the street name Nipsey Hustle at just 17 years old, inspired by comedian Nipsey Russell, and from that moment on, he was on a mission. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar with the culture, let me explain something. In Crenshaw in South LA, the idea of coming back to your neighborhood and investing in it, not just rapping about it, but actually putting money, jobs, and resources back into the community, that is rare. That is almost unheard of. Most people who make it out leave. Nipsey stayed. He opened Marathon Clothing in June 2017, but this was not just a clothing store, fam. This was a statement. Nipsey turned the same block he used to hustle on into a legitimate business hub. He created jobs for people that other businesses would not hire. He brought commerce into a neighborhood that the system had written off decades ago. Real talk, that is the kind of man we are talking about. His debut album, Victory Lap, dropped in 2018. It shot to number 2 on the Billboard 200. It was nominated for Best Rap Album at the 2019 Grammys. And if you listen to that album, really listen, you will hear a man who understood that his purpose was bigger than music. He was using every verse, every bar to teach, to inspire, to wake people up. But here's where it gets real spicy. Because even as Nipsey was building his empire, even as he was becoming one of the most respected voices in hip-hop, he was still connected to the world he came from. The streets never fully let go. And that connection is what ultimately cost him his life. The day everything changed, so check it. March 31st, 2019, A Sunday afternoon, Nipsey Hustle was outside his Marathon clothing store on Slauson Avenue in Hyde Park, Los Angeles. He was doing what he always did, being present in his community, talking to people, being accessible in a way that most celebrities are not. That is when Eric Rotto Holder Jr. showed up. Now here is the real kicker. Nipsey and Holder were not strangers. They had a conversation earlier that same day. And during that conversation, Nipsey reportedly told Holder that there were rumors going around that Holder had been snitching. In the streets, fam, you already know. That is about as serious as it gets. Holder walked away, and for a moment it seemed like it was done, over. Just a conversation. But Holder came back. He came back with not one, but 2 guns. And he opened fire on Nipsey Hustle, hitting him at least 10 times. 10 times, fam. Let that sink in for a minute. Nipsey Hustle, 33 years old, father, entrepreneur, community leader, was shot 10 times outside the very store he built. To give his neighborhood hope, he was rushed to the hospital, but the wounds were too severe. Nipsey Hustle was pronounced dead that evening. The reaction was immediate and devastating. Within hours, tributes were pouring in from every corner of the world. Beyonce, Rihanna, Drake, Chance the Rapper, John Legend, Bruno Mars, the LA Mayor's office. Former President Barack Obama himself released a statement praising Nipsey's life and legacy, calling it worthy of celebration. A public memorial was held. Over 20,000 people showed up. 20,000 people came out to say goodbye to a man from Crenshaw who refused to give up on his community. That is the kind of impact we are talking about. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, somewhere in the middle of all that grief and chaos and public mourning, was Lauren London, completely shattered. Lauren London, the love story. Now let's talk about Lauren for a minute, because fam, this woman deserves her own chapter in this story. Lauren London is an actress. You know her from ATL back in 2006. She played Nunu, and that role made her a star overnight. She has been in this Christmas Games People Play Without Remorse. The woman has serious talent and serious range, but for the longest time, what people knew her for more than anything else was her relationship with Nipsey Hustle. They started dating in 2013, and from the very beginning, people could see that this was something different. This was not a Hollywood relationship built on publicity and red carpet appearances. This was a real, deeply rooted, spiritually connected love. They complemented each other in a way that was almost rare to witness publicly. Now let me break it down for y'all. Nipsey and Lauren were never officially married. A lot of people assumed they were. There were even photos that went viral that people thought were engagement photos, but those were actually taken for a GQ magazine photo shoot. The real engagement never happened legally. But here is the thing, to everyone who knew them, to everyone who watched them together, the title did not matter. What they had was a marriage in every way that counted. Together they had a son, Cross Ermias Asgedum, born August 31st, 2016. And Lauren also has a son named Cameron Carter from her previous relationship with Lil Wayne. So she was not just losing her partner that day, she was losing her children's father figure. She was losing the man who was helping her raise her family. When Nipsey died, Lauren released a statement that broke everybody's heart. She said, and I quote, "I am completely lost." 3 words, fam. 3 words that said everything. No long speech, no PR managed response, just raw, honest, devastating truth. I am completely lost. And the world felt every single word of it. But here's where the story gets deeper than just the loss itself. See, what Lauren London did after Nipsey died is what truly set her apart. Because in a world where celebrities move on fast, where the next relationship is announced 6 months after the last one ended, Lauren London did something almost unheard of. She stayed loyal. Not in a performative way, not in a way that was designed to look good for the cameras, but in a real quiet, deeply personal way that she has spoken about only rarely and only on her own terms. Every year on March 31st, she posts a tribute. Every year, without fail, she shows up for his memory. In 2024, on the 5th anniversary of his death, she wrote, "If you know me, you know March is always tough for me. 31 days of holding my breath." She called that month 31 days of holding her breath. Can you imagine that, fam? An entire month where you are just bracing yourself for the pain of that one day. She described healing as something that goes up and down, side to side, all over the place. She told People magazine in 2023 that she does not want to give the misconception that she is at peace and walking around on a cloud. She said there are days she does not want to get up, days she is angry about it, and she called that honesty because that is what real healing looks like. Now, the real tea that got everybody shook in 2022, Lauren sat down with Angie Martinez on her In Real Life podcast, and Angie asked her the question that everyone had been wondering: what about love? What about moving on? Is there room in her life for another relationship? And Lauren London looked her in the eye and said, no, not maybe, not someday, no. She said, I think many relationships are ego driven and they're not pure. So why would I take myself in this vulnerable state into my ego when I'm trying to get out of it? I'm in death of the ego space. Why do I need another? Why? Does that mean I'm not complete? Does that mean I'm not on purpose? That right there, fam. That is not a woman who's about to go find a new husband. That is a woman who has fundamentally redefined what love means to her and chosen a path that does not include replacing what she had. She also said something that hit different. She said they had a pure love, and she said she can say she experienced a pure love on earth. Past tense, complete, not something to be chased or replaced, but something to be honored. The real kicker though, when you actually dig into what Lauren London has been doing for the past 8 years, the narrative of she's moving on falls completely apart, because this woman has not been sitting still. She has not been hiding. She has been building. She has been healing. She has been growing. And she has been doing it all in Nipsey's honor. She launched a Puma clothing line inspired by Nipsey. She has been involved in keeping his Marathon clothing brand alive. She has spoken publicly about grief and mental health in ways that have helped thousands of people who were also struggling with loss. She appeared on the A Really Good Cry podcast in September 2024, where she talked about the transformative power of faith and vulnerability in navigating grief. And most recently, as of 2025, Lauren London has been on what she herself describes as a journey of self-love. She said, I've never really functioned in self-love. I've never really functioned in self-acceptance, and this is my time to learn what that is. Let that sink in for a minute. This is a woman who gave so much of herself to loving Nipsey and loving her children that she never fully learned how to love herself. And now, at this stage of her life, that is the work she is doing. Not looking for a new husband, not dating in secret, but learning for the first time who she is outside of her trauma. She said, I need to learn who I am outside of my trauma, from the childhood trauma and then the adult trauma. I need to really know what it feels like to be in sovereignty with me. Sovereignty, that is a powerful word. That means ownership. That means wholeness. That means being complete within yourself, not needing another person to define you or complete you. For y'all who might not understand why this is such a big deal, let me explain. In our culture, in our community, there is enormous pressure on women, especially black women, to move on, to find somebody new, to not stay stuck in grief. People say things like, he would have wanted you to be happy, as if happiness has to come in the form of a new man. Lauren London has been quietly, consistently pushing back against that narrative for 8 years. And that takes strength, fam. Real strength. Now, this ain't just about Lauren and her love life. This is about something much bigger. This is about the legacy of Nipsey Hustle and whether or not that legacy is being maintained the way he would have wanted. And the answer is yes. Absolutely yes. In July 2022, Eric Holder was convicted of first-degree murder for killing Nipsey.
Murder in the 2019 shooting death of Grammy-winning rapper Nipsey Hustle.
The jury found that he acted with premeditation. He was sentenced to a minimum of 60 years in prison. 60 years, fam. He is not coming home. Justice, at least in the legal sense, was served. But Nipsey's impact goes far beyond the courtroom. His Victory Lap album is now certified double platinum. He posthumously won 2 Grammy Awards in 2020, Best Rap Performance for Rax, In the Middle, and Best Rap Song Performance for Higher. In 2022, he received a posthumous star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. His family runs the Neighborhood Nip Foundation, which focuses on giving back to the South LA community he loves so deeply. The original Marathon clothing store, the very spot where he was killed, is being transformed into a community center for kids, focused on academics and music. Think about that. The place where they took his life is being turned into a place that gives life to the next generation. That is Nipsey Hussle's legacy in its purest form. There are also reports that a Nipsey Hussle Tower is being built at the site, and a docuseries is reportedly being developed for 2026. Because even now, 7 years after his death, The world is still hungry to know more about who this man was and what he stood for. The streets been talking, fam, and what they are saying is that Nipsey Hussle's impact is not fading. If anything, it is growing. What the internet got wrong, now let's talk about why Lauren London is trending, because this is where we got to address something important. The internet has a habit, and y'all know this, of taking a headline and running with it, of seeing a woman who has been quiet for a while and assuming that quiet means something is about to change. People see Lauren London's name trending and they immediately assume the worst, or depending on how you look at it, the most dramatic option. New husband, moving on, replacing Nipsey. But here's the reality, fam. As of right now, there is no confirmed report of Lauren London being married. There is no confirmed report of her being in a relationship. There is no announcement. There is no man. What there is a woman who is living her life, raising her children, honoring her person, and growing into herself. The real question is, why does the internet need there to be a new man? Why can't Lauren London just be Lauren London? Why does her story need a new romantic chapter for people to pay attention? And I think the answer to that question says more about us, about the culture, than it does about her. We are so conditioned to expect women to move on, to expect grief to have an expiration date, to expect love to be replaced rather than honored. And Lauren London has been quietly, gracefully refusing to play by those rules for 8 years. Real talk, that is one of the most powerful things a person can do. Now let's talk about what Lauren London's story actually means. Not just for her, but for the culture, for all of us. Because fam, grief is universal. Loss is universal, and the pressure to perform happiness, to show the world that you are okay, that you have moved on, that you are thriving, that is something that too many people in our community are dealing with silently. And in doing so, she has become something more than Nipsey Hussle's girlfriend. She has become a symbol of what it looks like to love somebody truly and completely, and to keep honoring that love even when the world tells you to let it go. At the end of the day, fam, Lauren London's situation is not just about one woman in one relationship. It is about all of us and what we value when it comes to love, loss, and legacy. It is about a generation that watched Nipsey Hussle preach about ownership, about owning your block, your brand, your story, and then watch the woman he loved take that same principle and apply it to her heart. She owns her grief, she owns her healing, she owns her timeline. And she refuses to let anyone, not the blogs, not the internet, not the culture, tell her how to do it. It is also about Nipsey himself, because everything Lauren London does in that man's memory keeps his legacy alive. Every tribute, every interview where she speaks about what they had, every time she shows up for his foundation, his brand, his children, she is continuing the marathon, just in her own way. The real question is, what does the next chapter look like for Lauren London? And here is what I believe, fam. Based on everything she has said, based on the journey she says she is on, based on the woman she is becoming, the next chapter for Lauren London is not about a new man. It is about a new version of herself. A Lauren London who knows who she is outside of her trauma. A Lauren London who has learned how to love herself the way Nipsey loved her. A Lauren London who is at peace. Not the performative kind of peace that looks good on Instagram, but the real kind. The kind that comes from doing the hard work. Nipsey Hussle once said, the marathon continues. And fam, when I look at Lauren London, at everything she has carried, everything she has survived, everything she has built in the aftermath of the worst day of her life, I see someone who took those 3 words to heart. The marathon continues, not just in his music, not just in his foundation or his clothing store or his Hollywood star, but in a woman who loved him, in the mother of his child, in Lauren London, who wakes up every day, holds her breath through March, and keeps going. That is the real story here. Not a headline, not a clickbait title, not a rumor about a new husband. The real story is a woman who loved deeply, lost completely, and chose every single day to keep going in honor of the man who saw her deeper than the earth. Nipsey Hussle would have wanted that, not because she is stuck, but because she is growing. And growth, real growth, takes time. It takes courage. And it does not always look the way the internet expects it to. Rest in power, Nipsey Hussle. Ermias, the marathon continues. And to Lauren London, if you ever see this, the culture sees you. The real ones see you. And we are rooting for you. What are your thoughts on Lauren London's journey and what she has been going through these past 8 years? Do you think the internet puts too much pressure on women to move on after loss? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you want more deep dives like this one, click on the video on screen right now. We have got more stories that the blogs are sleeping on, and we are not done bringing them to light. Until next time, fam, stay real, stay loyal, and keep running your marathon.